how do I let go and allow the universe to work for me when I have this false premise that, I have to do something to make things happen?
Well, here's the thing. Let's put action into a very clear perspective. We are in no way trying to talk you out of action because it is so fun. We are just wanting the alignment to come first so that the action is inspired. And in that flow, it doesn't feel like hard work. It feels like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. If we were going to apply the words hard work to anything that's going on here, we would say it's not the easiest thing in the world to get yourself focused into what you want with so many around you clamoring for other things. There's a lot of distraction. And so the hard work is the focus. The hard work is the aligning. It's like, think about it. This is a ridiculously silly analogy, but it will be a good starting point here. So imagine that you are like Esther and you're on your way walking to school. You're little and it's not far. Let's say it's 2 miles. It wasn't for Esther, but let's just say to make the story better. And you can walk to school, even if it's cold, even if it's raining, even if it's snowing, you can do it. But then your neighbor says, hop in, I'm going the same way. So you hop in and you use that vehicle to do the same thing. The vehicle that we're wanting you to feel from us is the vehicle of aligning with the energy that creates worlds. We like to explain it this way, and we know 20 years, you could speak this as well as we will right now. But when you know what you don't want, you launch the rockets to what you do want. And that vortex who collects all of that desire and the cooperative components that are melded and meshed together. This is a universal engine that has a lot of calling power, that when you ride the wave of it, it is easy. It's fighting it that's hard. It's fighting against the current of well-being that is wearing you all out. You think it's your hard work that's wearing you out. It's not going with the flow. That's what's wearing you out. Unworthiness is not going with the flow. Believing that you have to justify the good that comes to you through hard work is that unworthiness that is going against the flow. It's like, I want this, but I believe this, and there's a tug of war. In the very early stages when we were flowing through Esther's apparatus, the earliest words that we used were, when your desire and your belief are the same vibrational frequency, then it is. But when you desire something that you don't believe, now this is a little more sophisticated. You desire it and you believe it under these conditions, you just don't believe it under these conditions. And you know why? Because you, just like almost everybody else, have been calibrating to other humans who all have an opinion about what you're doing. And people who aren't going with the flow don't like it when you do. They'll call you lazy. They'll call you lucky. They'll call you spoiled. They'll call you taking advantage. They have lots of labels in their misunderstanding that you're going with the flow. Most people who are struggling really appreciate a good struggler. But it's a flawed premise. It's a false premise. It will never work for you. Esther is faced with that almost every day because Esther has always been a focused person, but also a hard worker. She's always been willing to do whatever it takes. And here's the thing. We really want you to hear this in precisely the way that we are intending it here. Sometimes when the energy isn't flowing, you just got to do whatever it takes to get it done. Here's an example. You come across a car that's on fire on the road. Jerry carried a fire extinguisher in every vehicle that he and Esther were ever in, and he put out a lot of engine fires. It was like the Good Samaritan along the road. Always had a full fire extinguisher. So let's say you see somebody's vehicle is on fire. Well, your spiritual teachers will say to you, you should pray to help this brother. And your metaphysical teachers will say, you should meditate to raise this person up. And a very smart, practical person would say, get out the fire extinguisher and put out that fire. In other words, calibrating in life is figuring out not just what the situations are that are surrounding you, but what is the circumstance by which you can get the best results? What's the path of least resistance? That's the way to ask and answer this question. What's the path of least resistance? Is the path of least resistance to drag them to safety and then pray with them? Or is the path of least resistance to drag them to safety and then put the fire out with the fire extinguisher? And you might say, oh, that's hard work. I want to do it with the power of my mind. And we say, do alignment with the power of your mind and love with the power of your mind and appreciate with the power of your mind and focus with the power of your mind. And then you will be inspired. Here it is. We have never said this before. Thank you so much. Your inner being will inspire you to the behavior to get you what you want, given the beliefs that you hold. That's why sometimes it feels like hard work's the right thing. Well, your inner being certainly knows that you're all wadded up in what you learned as a kid or what somebody else has been. Your inner being is not saying, get rid of all those hindering beliefs and then I'll work with you. Your inner being says, you believe what you believe and you believe what you believe for a reason because you saw it and you thought about it and you offered a vibration about it and then you attracted about it. You're not being unwise because you believe things that don't serve you. Your life has shown you some of those. We're just fine-tuning here, aren't we? We're just getting better and better. That's why we responded to you in the very first exchange of words when you said, you've been following us. Better said, we've been following you. And we said, but it never ends, does it? The expansion or the understanding or the evolution of desire never ends, does it? Esther's been saying recently, she wants to be this way and she wants to believe it. I'm a pointer. I decide, I line up my energy, and then I'm inspired to whatever it takes in order to bring things about. But isn't it really, really, really a true thing how fun it is to get your own hands in your own clay? We just want you to look at it this way. You want to do the work with your mind. Get all the cooperative components going so it's unfolding. And then you want to jump in to the fun action of encouraging it along. So what we're really talking about here, you can break it down pretty simply. Am I right now coming from the upper half of the chart, the upper half of the emotional scale? Am I feeling like letting it go and contentment and satisfaction? Or am I feeling from frustration down? Now, we're going to say something to you. We have not said this before in this way. This is a leading edge conversation that you have evoked because of the clarity of what you're living. So you're going to hear this easily, and everyone else is going to benefit from this. So can you picture what we are calling the emotional scale? Can you picture it? At the top is appreciation and love and all of those good feelings. And then all the way to the bottom is depression and despair and unworthiness and grief. And the range is in between. So now we're going to tip that scale on its side. If you've been with us for 20 years, you know sometimes we talk about the scale, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. The emotional scale, you know what you do want, you know what you don't want. So let's flip this thing on its side. So you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So now the fulcrum of this scale is over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's between 7 and 8. Between letting go and satisfaction. So here it is over here. Notice how when you're trending in the direction of what you want, when you're trending in the direction of love and appreciation, feel how resistance freeing that is. When you're trending in the direction of appreciation and love. Now think about how you feel when you're trending toward anger and blame and guilt. If you understand where that fulcrum is and you understand the difference, because the law of attraction is going to bring you whatever you're focused upon. And there really is no ending to how much it will bring before you make the shift.